All right, what's up, and welcome back to another live stream with Gizmo Slip Tech. I'm here with Tom from XMG, their product manager. We've got the XMG Neo 16, we got the Neo 17, we've got, what else we got here?
We got the XMG Oasis water cooling with an all-new tube connector, and the Neo 16 will be our highlight tonight.
And we also have the new water cooling loop. I don't know if you recall, but in the 2023 version of the XMG Neo 16 and 17, the water cooling loop went directly over the water pipes that are the heat pipes for the GPU, which really helped focus the cooling of the water cooler on that GPU, but didn't help the CPU cooling as much. So XMG has redesigned the water cooling loop significantly. We're going to go over all of that. We're going to showcase the Cinebench R23 performance, pushing hopefully 200 watts through and hopefully maybe beating the MSI Titan 18HX today, which I tested yesterday. It was like 32,000, I think 500 when we tested. That's no undervolting though. You're gonna do some undervolting, which is a little bit, it's not stock.
No,
so it's not
out of the box.
No undervolting?
Yeah.
Oh.
Over 33.5, whatever.
Okay, all right. So we'll have a little bit of finicking, and then we're going to do the Time Spy. Mm-hmm. So we're going to do Cinebench R23, Time Spy. We're of course going to showcase the new XMG Neo 16, which
is right here. This is actually a pre-production unit where the keycaps actually don't have letters yet, but it's their new CNC milled aluminum chassis. It looks really nice. It feels very sturdy in the hands. I think this is a nice improvement in terms of premium quality over the previous generation of the Neo products, for sure. And then the new display is also 500 nits.
That's right. So it is a WQHD 240 Hz G-Sync Advanced Optimus 500 nits panel with sRGB color gamut.
With 100% sRGB. So we're still not pushing into the ultra premium level of display yet, but it's great for gamers, traditional content consumption, but it's not going to be as color saturated as, say, 100% DCI-P3 color gamut or a mini LED or OLED display. But it's a nice middle ground that's certainly above a budget level and better than the 2023 version, which had about 350 nits.
Yeah, same specs, lower brightness on the last year's generation.
Right.
So we're having a brighter display. That's probably the biggest thing. Is it's just going to be brighter, which that does enhance the display's quality for sure. So very excited about that. So I see some people in chat. So feel free to ask any questions if you have anything for Tom. Otherwise,
let's talk Neo 17 before we move into focusing just on the Neo 16. So a little blurb about the Neo 17 here. So the Neo 17 did not have too many changes. We're looking at the i9-14900HX processor. We still have a metal top lid and a plastic main body, correct?
Also metal bottom case.
Oh, metal bottom case.
Yeah.
But so what are the materials here? So walk them through.
All right. So with the microphone. So the top case is metal. The display lid is metal. The top case is made out of our.
Here, let's switch cameras
so we can get a little better angle here. So. All right, so go ahead and go through it.
So this is metal. No rocket science here. This is metal. This is our grip touch, which is very durable. Has been going on for years without any wear and tear.
Okay. And what type of material is the grip touch?
The grip touch is essentially a rubber coating, but it is a very thin rubber coating and a very durable one.
Okay. And the rubber coating is over what?
It is over plastic.
Plastic. Okay. So we have plastic keyboard deck with rubber coating.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the bottom is metal.
The bottom is metal. Okay. And that's pretty much it. The keyboard in Neo 17 is and has been for a while a mechanical keyboard with Cherry MX.
So much better than the membrane keyboard.
Yeah, exactly. So much louder though.
But it feels so much better. Oh, I love the feel of this keyboard.
You have to try the new membrane keyboard in Neo 16 in a more long-term real-life testing.
It does. I think both keyboards are good. I think the layout is better on the Neo 16 now. The new layout.
Exactly, yeah.
But it doesn't have keycaps, so it's kind of hard to fully experience it. Plus, this is also not the US version. So things are a little bit displaced on the keyboard.
All our keyboards will be the ISO keyboard with the big return key, but yeah, we do have a file in the folder where you can see this, the new layout with printing. If we go to Neo 16.
Tim says audio. Okay, there we go. Thanks for the heads up on the audio. Yes, audio is better now. Thank you. Okay, so yes. All right. I don't think we need to restart, but I do think it'd probably be better to go over the Neo 17 again.
Good.
So we have clean audio, and we can redo that part, okay? So, once again, we had a little audio snafu just like last year. It's perfect.
It's tradition.
Tradition, yes. Okay, so for those of you that missed it, I guess the audio was good at the very beginning because we were just on this camera. So when we went to the XMG Neo, the audio had an echo with this camera because I switched the audio channel. Anyway, so XMG Neo 17 here, we have metal top lid, a plastic keyboard deck with a rubber soft coating.
Right.
Feels really nice in the hand. Giant touchpad.
Yeah, because it's not that cold. Like if you touch a metal palm rest when it's still off, you know, your first day in the morning or your first thing.
It's cold.
It's always so cold.
Yes.
Like, not everyone likes it.
That's true. And then we have a metal bottom right there. Okay, so that's the Neo 17. Now let's talk improvements to the Neo 17. Okay.
Exactly. So the whole Neo series in 2024 will get the new Core i9-14900HX, of course, the latest Intel HX CPU. It's also going to get USB-C power delivery charging with a 100 watt.
100 watt?
100 watts. So it's just, you know, good enough for on the go. You want to charge your battery, you want to get some work done, get a 100 watts charger. It's going to serve you for a long time.
You could probably do some really lightweight gaming. Like you frame cap it to like 30 FPS or something. And then you might have your battery slowly drain while you game, that kind of thing.
I wouldn't recommend it. Or you can game on the iGPU.
Only if you're desperate.
Game on the iGPU.
I suppose. And the new Intel i9-14900HX, does it come with the Intel Arc GPU?
No, it has the same kind of GPU cores like XE and Arc, whatever you name it, but it only has the 32 cores, which the HX series has, whereas the more mobile-friendly H series would have 96 cores.
Okay, all right. So you don't have the upped integrated GPU basically in this compared to like the Ultra 9 that's coming out. That actually has a pretty good integrated GPU that's capable of doing some basic gaming pretty well this year. So the other major change to the Neo 17 is the water cooling loop, right? And we have some images showcasing the water cooling loop. Let's go to the images now. So here we go.
Top right corner.
Top right corner right here?
Yeah.
Okay,
So this
all
is
right.
animated, oh no, it's just JPEG. So this is the new loop.
So this is the new loop right here. It goes, so the water comes in, goes over the GPU, the VRMs here, goes over the CPU,
Right.
and then out.
Right. So in the previous generation, the water loop would not take that extra loop over the CPU.
It just did this.
Yeah, it was a simple loop. Now it goes over the CPU. It's something, you know, people have, of course, kind of commented on. It makes sense to go over the CPU, so it's there.
Have you noticed any performance increase or slightly better temps on the CPU under CPU-only workloads?
There is definitely a difference. We will release values when we have in mass production, but the old loop already indirectly cooled the CPU, but now it's cools it directly. It's better.
Right. Yeah, because it did share some of the heat pipes over the GPU here, but now it's just, I mean, when you have the heat, this water cooling loop go directly, that's definitely going to transfer additional bits of heat, I think, for sure. So, okay. Fantastic. I mean, I think that all of that makes the Neo 17 at least a little bit more compelling. Now, there is a new water cooling valve connector, but that's not included on the Neo 17, right?
Exactly.
That's only the Neo 16.
Yeah.
Okay. And so there's a few changes on the Neo 16, quite a few. a lot more than the Neo 17.
It's an all-new Neo 16.
All new Neo. It's a new Neo 16. That's correct. Okay, so is that everything you want to talk about for the Neo 17?
Yeah, but I mean, I want to say that Neo 17 will be available by the end of this month, and it will be available from RTX 4060 to 4090. But key change here is that the water cooling will only be supported on the big GPUs on the 4080 and 4090. Oh. So it's going to drop out of the small GPUs. We will have models with 4060, 4070 with water cooling in the future, but like maybe second half of the year, different kind of products.
I mean, it makes sense. There's a lot less TDP requirements for the 4070 and below.
Right. There's also not much overclocking headroom on the 4070 and below. It is nice to have it because you have silent gaming, but if you want to get 4070 or 60 with water cooling, we will still continue to produce with a new, better price last year's Neo 17. So you can get last year's Neo 17 with the 13th gen and water cooling support.
Okay. Yeah, and in my initial testing, at least, I've not seen a huge performance jump with the 14th gen from 13th gen. But of course, more testing is required and trying to get apples to apples comparison rather than different chassis, slightly different circumstances. Very important. So yeah, I mean, I'm thinking like 13th gen laptops are probably going to go on at least a little bit of sale. And that'll probably, I think a lot of people are going to go for those too. So can snap those up while they're still available. Okay. Let's talk Neo 16. Mm-hmm. Yeah? Ready? Okay. Great. So we're going to put the Neo 17 aside, and we're going to pull out this pre-production engineering sample, which we'll be testing today. And notice that the the very cool backlighting here has no letters on the keycaps. It's kind of hilarious. Okay, so checking chat. No Commentary Gaming says this would not be a 13900K stock. Absolutely, at most you might be able to get 35K R23. Well,
we'll see about that.
We'll see about that because Tom says it can pull higher than 35K, but we'll find out for sure.
It depends on the room temperature, and it's getting quite hot in here. So.
Oh my goodness.
We'll see. We'll see.
Okay, so the Neo 16. You said it's all new Neo 16, so what's new?
Right. Are you in camera right now? Yeah.
Yes, we're on this camera.
Good. So the all-new Neo 16, it is coming with a new display which is brighter. Also, it has a more narrow bottom bezel. It has an all-new keyboard with a more robust layout, like it has a full-featured number pad.
It does also seem like it's less deep. Is that correct? Like dimensionally?
It is because the more narrow bezel at the bottom makes for smaller footprint.
So it's going to be quite a bit more portable than the 23. Like I don't know, quite a bit, but like maybe 5 to 10% smaller footprint, something like
smaller footprint, just also more streamlined, just like slides nicer into your bag.
It reminds me a lot of I love these arrow keys being separated. This is the type of layout that I really like, except for this right here. This is not US.
Right. So what you're seeing here is it's not strange. It's just different. So it is the.
It's equally good.
It's the original keyboard. It's the ISO keyboard from Europe, also used in the UK, for example. So this will be NZ keyboard. Maybe from other brands, but we are having the ISO keyboard.
Okay, and there will be a USA version that's going to be very similar to this that Electronics is going to be selling, correct?
Yes.
Shout out to Will from Electronics. They haven't figured out the name of it yet, but it should be coming around March-ish, right? So 2024. And it will have a similar redesign with a lot of the key aspects of this, but of course with a United States keyboard. Right. And then it'll have support and everything shipping from the United States rather than from Europe. So
let's continue.
Yes.
So you see it here on camera, the Neo 16's footprint. It is moderately thin, but not too thin. Actually has similar Z height, similar weight as the previous Neo 16. If you
can move your hand.
Yes.
You can hold the mic.
Okay.
And I'll just refocus it.
So if you move the display lid a little further, now you're out of focus.
Yeah, I'm trying to refocus it here. There you go.
Right. So what you can do here now is that you can move the display lid slightly further than last year, and actually even further out of focus.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to get this. It changed the focus mode on me.
Never touch a running system.
Yeah. And then, yeah, there we go.
So there we go. So you just go a little further, a little further, a little further. Oh, it's 180 degree on the new Neo 16. Hasn't been done yet in the Neo series before. Then on the left side, we have some changes. If you are familiar with Neo 16, we used to have a dual audio ports. Now we just went down to one audio port, but instead we have a second Type-C port. Finally, right? Second Type-C on the left side. That's a data port, and on the back.
Does this have power delivery?
Nope.
Charging?
Nope. Just a pure data port.
For the whole laptop, no power delivery?
No. On the left side, you don't have port delivery.
Oh,
now
okay.
I'm going to the back side. Brandon, don't jump the gun. So on the back, which we're showing here, we have our new water cooling port.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll show this in a moment. Then on a Type-C port, that's Thunderbolt 4. This one is with 100 watt power delivery.
Whoa.
Power input. And yeah.
HDMI 2.1?
HDMI and a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port.
Okay.
And the port for the 330 watt charger.
Why don't you show the charger while we're here?
Charger is getting smaller and smaller every year. This would be the new charger.
So this is very similar in size to my Razer charger. Yeah. So that's very good. That's as small as it gets. 330 watts in this size is excellent.
Right.
Good job.
The old charger is behind your laptop over there if you want to compare. But
oh, yeah.
Right. Bring that over. Those are the chargers right beside.
Old charger from 2023, new charger for 2024.
Right.
Smaller, more compact.
Not a huge difference because the old charger was already pretty slim for 330 watts.
Yeah.
In the back. And about the water port, you mentioned earlier, we have a change in the tube. So the XMG Oasis has been running for 2 years. We have learned a lot.
Hold it in here. Yeah.
We've learned a lot. In 2022, we introduced this port, which is a magnetic port, which is self-sealing. So if you unplug it, water is not coming out. The new port does the same thing, but it does it with a little extra metal notch, which helps you to guide the port and also to lock it in, so you will hear an audible click.
Is this magnetic right here, or is it squeeze in kind of thing? How does it latch in?
It's both. So it is magnetic to guide you, and then you will have to squeeze it further.
To kind of pump it in?
You can do that.
Okay.
I'll hold the microphone close to the ports.
Okay, here we go. Oh, it has a nice little click.
Yeah.
Ah. Yeah, and I remember testing the Neo 17 with the water port, and whenever you plug it in, or once it is plugged in, if you kind of end up wiggling it a little bit, sometimes there might be like a drop or two that comes out.
Let me show that again on camera so people can see it properly.
You definitely have to kind of brace the laptop now to get it to go in.
Yeah, normally, like now it's sliding on this glass table, but it's just brace a little bit, yes.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, I would rather it be secure than being, easier to be loose. I guess that's obviously not a good thing. You don't want your water cooling loop popping out. So I mean, I like that. It's a nice little improvement, nice little iteration. It's not that the other one was bad necessarily, but I definitely had to be careful when I used the Neo 17, because there was a couple times where there was a small little puddle underneath here, because I didn't realize that it wasn't quite perfectly sealed when I had, I'd moved the laptop around a little bit or moved it to move my mouse around, and there had been some drips right there. So I'd like that. That'll help prevent that from happening.
Exactly. So I hope this will be the last change.
Well, hey, you're always going to be improving, right?
Yeah, sure. But on the other hand, we also want to maintain compatibility. So, if you bought XMG Oasis 2 years ago, you were still able to use it with the last generation's Neo from last year. we want to keep maintaining that. So, even customers that have an older laptop should be able to get the latest Oasis, maybe with the silent pump, like XMG Oasis Mark II has the more silent pump. So we will have to just, use one connector for all in the future.
I can say that I'm sure consumers out there appreciate your effort to be backwards compatible, because most corporations are monetarily motivated to not be backwards compatible to make you buy the new thing. So we really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Okay. Nice. Okay, so we have the water cooling solution here with the new water cooling loop, and we're going to show that to you right now. So this is inside the Neo 16, and this is kind of hard to see everything that's going on. So we actually have a graphic that will also showcase. Yeah. So let's see. It's this
remember one. From the previous picture, show the 17 again first, so people can see the difference right away.
Okay.
Right.
So this is the 17.
Right. For the last 2 years, the water pipe was soldered onto the air cooling heat pipes. So the water cooling went on top of the air cooling, and now we try to make it. Or of course, shout out to our partners at Uniwil. Of course, we together collaborated to improve the design, make it more efficient, increase the contact area of the water against the rest of the cooling system to get more heat out of your laptop.
Okay, so and then this is the new version right here. So water will come in right here, go around the GPU, swing around the CPU, and it's integrated into this whole heat plate. So right here, you can see where the water comes in, rotates around this whole heat plate, and this whole heat plate becomes like a heat transfer to the heat pipe system as well, right?
Exactly. So this kind of they call it a hydraulic chamber. So it does it spreads the heat away from CPU and GPU, which are connected.
Hold it a little lower.
They are connected by liquid metal to the cold plates, and then if you have no XMG Oasis, heat is directly transferred to the heat pipes where it's then going out with the fans. If you do use Oasis, then the water will go around CPU and GPU as shown in the picture. It's going around CPU and GPU because if the water pipe would be empty, having like air between your CPU and your heat pipes, it's not what you want because it would be a barrier of heat transfer. So that's why the pipes go around. It's not so much about directly cooling down the hotspot of CPU and GPU. It's more about just taking as much heat out of your system as possible.
Nice. Well, I can tell you that based on my experience, not being a full laptop engineer designer, this does seem like a superior heat transfer mechanism right here compared to the previous generation for sure. So very curious to see temps and performance potential, especially since you guys raise that CPU potential limit much higher than you would typically expect a 16-inch laptop that is this thin to be able to do. Because I was doing the MSI Titan 18HX, and that's a big beefy guy, and that thing can do over 200 watts going through the CPU. But it does thermal throttle at 95 degrees at that temp, at that wattage, and this is such a smaller system, and it's able to theoretically get to the same overall wattage to 200, at least for a period of time. I don't know if it's going to be able to sustain 200 watts consistently, or is it more of a burst in the first few runs kind of thing?
We will do only one run of Cinebench, but you will see how power and temperature behave, and then you can deduct from that.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll hopefully do more than one run, but I'll see if I can get Tom to do multiple runs.
Right. So
okay.
I'll set up the Oasis now. Okay.
Okay. He's gonna set up the Oasis. I'm gonna go show you the laptop a little bit more. So I'm gonna go over the keyboard here and the new layout on the arrow keys. So you can see we have arrow keys that are now separated away from the shift button, not integrated into the shift button, which is so much easier to find those arrow keys just from feel. We also have a number pad here that is now 4 rows, and it's going to be easier to use this number pad directly from feel. And for a 16-inch chassis, this is about as good of a keyboard layout as I think you can get. Let me also check chat while we're here. The new Pack says the new Neo 16 looks so pretty now, very stealthy.
Oh, how nice. Thank you so much.
Tom says thank you very much. LSP says bummer that NVIDIA didn't raise the power limits for the 4080 and 4090 laptops. Yeah, I definitely think there's some performance gains to be had if they had maybe 200 watt power limit potential. Okay, let's go to... I guess we'll go to this cam and let's rotate over.
Yeah, not yet, not yet.
Am I allowed to show your screen yet?
That's okay.
He's getting the Oasis going.
Coming there.
So let me zoom out so you can kind of see. So we got the Oasis here. You plug the power adapter for the laptop into the Oasis. Then there's a second cable that goes from the Oasis to the laptop. And then you hook the water pipes into from the Oasis over to the laptop. Right. And then you connect the Oasis to the laptop using Bluetooth to control the Oasis.
Right, that's it. So it looks like a bunch of cables, but again, this cable goes to the Oasis. These tubes go to Oasis. Your laptop charger is in the Oasis. You need only one charger to power the whole system. Just one charger for the whole system.
Correct. Matrix says, really digging the water cooling feature. Rastlin says, yes, we know it's cool, but we need to see FPS test.
Right. So I am connected.
Okay. You hear the water cooler going?
Right, this has been going like on and off for the last couple of days on CES, being disconnected many times. And this unit is with the slightly more noisy pump. So the one that we ship is going to be slightly more quiet. This is just what we had for CES. And then if you still, I don't know if you you can see the screen right now.
Do you want me to zoom in on the screen?
Chat's going to be able to read this.
Bring the laptop a little closer. Not that close. Yeah, right there. And then I'll zoom in from there. All right.
So in the control center, I'm connected. We can set up different profiles for Oasis, automatic, maximum. I'm going to run it at maximum for the sake of these benchmarks. And in performance profile, there are 3 baked-in profiles and custom profile, which you can control here. And what you see here already is so basically, let me go to restore, to reset. So out of the box, your CPU power is set to 75 watt, but we can raise the PL1 and PL2 power limits to 205 watts with the only with the 2024 version. Because what we actually did is it's not just the CPU upgrade. It's actually a slightly redesigned motherboard which we needed for USB-C power delivery. So it just also gave us the opportunity to amp up a little bit on the power, the voltage regulators for the CPU. So all of this power is within spec.
So you're saying the VRMs are designed to be able to do 205 watts continuous power without failing, within warranty support.
And beyond.
And beyond. Right, but you guys are saying that you're going to support, even if users run 205 watt to run their video editing on a daily basis, or whatever they're going to use 205 watts of throughput through their CPU, you're going to support that.
Yes.
That's pretty amazing. All right. Okay, so.
Right. So this is all set up. I also have these GPU overclocking functions, which we won't use right now. So let's just run a Cinebench score first. And also last thing, there's also the fan boost. So in order to get the best score, in Cinebench, you want to also have the laptop fans running.
Because it's combining the air cooling and the water cooling together for the best temps.
Right, because the biggest bottleneck in CPU cooling is the size of the die, and especially of the P cores. The heat is concentrated in such a small area that no matter how much water you put on it, the heat transfer is the bottleneck. We have liquid metal from Thermal Grizzly, but still, again, the more cooling you get, the better the results will be.
Yeah, and most of your contact is on those air cooling heat pipes. So you really need to have that heat transfer going through there, right?
Right. Well,
So-
we just use everything we have at our disposal, right? So we use water, air, whatever, so all of that.
Yeah, so you want maximum performance, you gotta run air and water together. So we're about to ramp the fans.
So I'm gonna ramp the fans.
That's what the fans sound like.
Right, I have steam running, but I just keep it open and just have Cinebench right here.
Okay, do you have HW info
Of course.
as well?
So, and then the top right we have the CPU package power, currently at 15 watt.
All right, you can close
You
this.
probably want CPU temperature. So there's core max, which is the hotspot temperature, and below we put GPU power for later. Yeah,
Okay,
right. So, ready?
are we ready? Chat, are we ready? Let's see how we do.
You
Hit it.
You click on start.
Okay,
Good.
so it is ramping to 200 watts, 205 watts. Do we have our core clock speed? Just expand that. 4.7, 4.68, 4.78 gigahertz on the P cores, 3.8 to 3.9 gigahertz on the E cores, 34,762. And that's with us messing around with HW info, so we can try running it again. We'll just let this run by itself, no touching HW info this time. Should give us a slightly better score. See if we can bust 35K.
Yeah, I want to bust it.
You want to bust 36. That's your goal, right?
I want to. We've done it.
Let's see.
That's
34.8.
Okay, I'm gonna just stop Steam.
We're going to close Steam.
I'm gonna close this. I'm gonna go to graphics settings, because by default Cinebench is running on the is triggering the DGPU to come on because reasons.
You were doing
Actually,
some
not reason. That's a good reason.
overclock optimizing.
So since a few versions, Cinebench also has a GPU benchmark included. So Microsoft by default lets Cinebench run on the DGPU. So whenever you use Cinebench to test your CPU, your DGPU is then saying like, hey, what do you want? And then it's going to be idle in the background. And having a DGPU idle in the background also takes power out of your GPU because it needs to keep those PCIe lanes running. So I'm setting Cinebench to power saving so it runs on the iGPU.
You better make sure that dedicated GPU is turned off then.
Let's see. The DGPU is nope. So you see GPU power fluctuates. It's still on with 28 watt. Maybe because of MSI Afterburner. Probably, yeah. Let's see. Yeah. No. Well, that's okay.
Can you go to the using Advanced Optimus to disable it, and the NVIDIA control panel?
Yeah, that's also a new feature.
This is a new feature. You can go to iGPU only
We
mode.
have a proper iGPU only mode. So I'll enable that and restart.
So in order to do that, you have to. Is it like a sudo mux then, requiring a restart to go into iGPU only mode?
The thing is, by default, the display panel is already on the iGPU, so you don't need a physical mux. It's more like that the vBIOS and BIOS, it's just, they really just expect the DGPU to be there, and in order to make the DGPU lose all its power without crashing the system and the driver, you need to reboot.
Okay. Yeah, this has been a problem I've noticed with a lot of the RTX 4000 series laptops, where the even if you're in like Optimus mode and you're trying to get maximum battery life, you just have a web browser open, that's it. The NVIDIA GPU is just getting triggered all the time to trigger extra power pulls. And you're just like, it kills your battery life faster than you'd expect.
Right.
Okay, so we should be in integrated GPU only mode this time, which theoretically might boost our performance by a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
LSP says Advanced Optimus, and yes, this does have Advanced Optimus.
Yes, they have, yeah.
Yeah, but if you want to switch to integrated only mode, that does still require a restart.
Yeah. But, you know, because he asked, so if you want to switch to DGPU only mode, does not require a restart thanks to NVIDIA Optimus.
Right, right. If you want to go to be able to switch between dedicated GPU only mode and being able to do a hybrid mode, that's Advanced Optimus, that's dynamic display switching, and that's possible to do without restarting. It's just when you want to go to integrated only mode for maximum battery life or for this kind of benchmarking purposes or something.
Right.
Okay, are we ready?
Yes.
Here we go. Attempt number 3. Let's see. Pitha says to disable Windows Defender, but I don't know. Only if that's actually running. Would that affect it? This is why I use Process Lasso, so it doesn't get interrupted as much in the background. So just in case you didn't realize something was running in the background. 34.6. I can tell. So did you? Does it need to be undervolted to hit that 36 score? Is that the reason?
No.
No. No. No. So is the CPU undervolted at all currently? Let's check the offsets here in HW info. Currently, there is no offsets. So we're hitting 34.6, 0 offsets, but Tom did mention that Intel is pseudo undervolting a little bit going on in the background by default.
Yeah, it's not called undervolting. Every CPU generation, they have their own frequency voltage curve, which is optimized to deliver the best performance by also like having a large, the yield. So all the CPUs that come out of the factory actually work. So what usually happens with a CPU refresh like this one is that the yields get better because the production process becomes more mature, and they have more and more CPUs that bin better. So, and with this better binning, with like having better physical properties on the micro nanometer scale, they can apply a little bit more aggressive frequency voltage curve, which makes the CPU run more efficiently, especially when it's under full load.
Which is the same thing you're doing when you're undervolting, essentially. But it's like it's like Intel is applying that more efficient power curve out of the box. Mm-hmm. What do you got there?
So this is my second unit. This is the one that's this is the one that actually managed the highest.
Oh, so maybe it's Silicon Lottery.
It's those things.
Do we need to stop this?
No, it's fine. Just the laptop's gonna shut down. So we disconnect the Oasis. So easy, just plug and play. There's a silicon lottery. There's also the question of the contact pressure of the thermal unit against the CPU. So because the CPU's power envelope is controlled by the hottest point on the CPU. So whenever the hottest Pico, for example, just has a slight deviation in contact pressure or in the amount of liquid metal, then the results will be different because just one hot core will make the CPU reduce power for all cores together.
Just like little snippets of reduction in power.
Right.
Gotcha. Baca says world record runtime? Maybe. I don't think so. Maybe. We'll see if we can bust at least. I would say for considering we don't have an official undervolt, that means there definitely is some additional headroom. With the 13th gen, we had about a 10 to 15% headroom on most i9-13900HXs. And if we have the same thermal headroom here, then that would mean if we're getting 34.6 out of the box, we could probably bust 37,000 with as aggressive an undervolt as we could possibly go. So right now, can you pull it a little closer? And I'll get it focused on the screen.
Attempt number 2. Unit number 2.
Okay. We're testing the second i9. And we don't have anything else open right now. Oh, we do have HW info open. Okay.
So you see again 205 watts.
Okay, and also let's see the temps.
Okay, it's 83, 86. That's the hotspot.
That's pretty good.
So it could even.
It's still going up though.
Yeah, a little bit. But you see, there would still be some headroom for additional power. But 205 watt is as much as we want to do.
Well, especially if you want to just do it sustained. Ooh, ooh. Look at that. So close. 35.5 for our first run. That's with HW info and with us messing around a little bit in HW info. Let's do a couple more. But what do you say we do one where we close HW info down and see if we can at least bust 36, and then we'll do a few runs in a row and see what the temperature sustained yet is like.
GPU power is 0. That's good.
Parky says, will this laptop only be available in Europe and the US? So this is actually not available in the United States. This is available in Europe, correct?
Yes.
And if you want to get this, a very similar unit, you'd have to buy it from electronics, at least in the United States. And that won't be available till March, April timeframe, somewhere around there. If you want to know when it's available, check my Listium laptop list. We'll be updating that and adding the electronics laptops, the XMG laptops, and all the other laptops that have come out here at CES 2024. And there's even a section at the top of the Listium page that will have all of the new ones that have just come out this week. So.
So while this is rebooting, maybe you want to go back. You can show the inside of the Neo 16 completely. You can also talk about SSD, RAM. We have 2 RAM slots, 2 SSD slots. We have a.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
This is booting.
So we have some images of the inside. We only have about 20 minutes left.
We're almost done.
So
we need to do times by.
Yeah.
So open the second picture on next
this one.
Yeah,
okay, and I'll make this big. Okay, so this is the inside of the Neo 16, the new design. Looks like we have a 99 watt-hour battery.
Yeah.
All right, and look at how efficiently designed the space is on the inside. We've got very little extra like space in here compared to last gen. There was quite a bit of extra available space that wasn't really being utilized. So I really like to see that you guys are trying to re-engineer this and take advantage of all the available engineering space. And you can see we've got a Wi-Fi upgradable slot here, 2 M.2 slots right here, and then the RAM slots will be right here.
Right, 2 stacked RAM slots over there. And
So-
at the bottom right, by the way, the PCH cooling is also new. Maybe you remember last year, a lot of the HX series models, they had like USB dropout issues because the platform control hub was not cooled actively.
Interesting.
Right, so we dropped the thermal pad in there last year, but now we have a proper, connection to the.
An actual heat pipe going over the top of it. And this goes to the VRMs for the GPU, is that what that is?
Exactly.
So
Right,
it's a second one for that? Okay.
All right, I'm ready here.
Okay.
So, oh, wait, somebody said Windows Defender, so security. So I removed all the stuff from automatic startup. The DGPU is off, I checked already. I'm gonna disable the real-time protection. And that's gonna be our last attempt. If that doesn't hit 36K, I'll take all the responsibility on me. And then
Hey, it's still the best score we've seen so far here at CES. I've been able to run it on 2 other laptops so far, so.
Okay, so you're showing the screen
I
on
am
screen?
showing the screen,
Good.
yeah.
So I'll start the fans. Is it in focus?
It's in focus.
Fans are running. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, Windows security. There's no pop-ups, please. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
And we have no HW info open, right?
No.
Okay,
No.
so just Cinebench R23 is being ran right now. And
I haven't even started like lifting it from the table and stuff like this. We could do all kinds of tricks.
well, if it's not thermal throttling, that's not going to help for a one-run scenario.
Although the clock speed does depend on temperature. So, for example, the thermal velocity.
36,541.
It's
Woo!
Windows Defender screwing your benchmark results.
Is that what it is?
This is not security advice.
So that is, that might be the highest score I've seen, and this is with no undervolts, right? Or does this unit have an undervolt?
Again, no, there's no voltage offset here. There is a slight, adjustment to the AC/DC load line.
Oh, so there's a load line that's pseudo undervolting here.
Yeah, it used to be a pretty small yield undervolting thing. It's kind of enabled by default in the current BIOS. Yeah.
Okay, will it be shipped that way?
It will be shipped that way, and that's not many vendors do that. Like other HX models last year already had like somewhat aggressive load line configurations.
Interesting. Okay, so there is like a pseudo undervolt going on here. It's not completely stock. Please keep that in mind. But we are hitting 205 watts. Let's go ahead and just, can we set this to 10 minutes and open HW info?
There's no shortcut. I mean, stock, what's stock? There's Intel stock, but like every vendor can run the CPU whatever they want. Like if you buy a gaming desktop mainboard, you also have by default, usually somewhat tuned voltages or other settings that influence the CPU performance. So it's all within. There's a difference between like Intel stock default and what's within Intel spec. Like there's this debate where, for example, Gamers Nexus they like to test with standard PL1, PL2 values, where other reviewers raise it up as much as it can, but it's all within spec. It's just a matter of philosophy.
Gotcha. Very interesting. All right, so we've got Cinebench R23. We're running it. We're going to run it in a few different runs in a row, and we're going to see what the temperatures look like, how long it takes to hit our max temp. Looks like our core temps are at 82, whereas our CPU package, the hotspot, is at 95. So at least one of the P cores is hitting up there and reaching thermal throttling. And so we're going to see, right now we're seeing some thermal throttling, and it went down a little bit from 205. Right now we're still hitting 205, now 201. And so let's let it go for at least a couple minutes here, and we'll see what kind of, I don't know, like multi-run stability and temperatures that we might be able to see.
Meanwhile, there's a switch in control center. You can, like the maximum of CPU temperature is 95 degree. Some vendors go higher, like 98, 99, so we don't do that. You could actually lower it. So if you go to 90 here, then your thermal throttling will immediately occur. Like now it's 90, 88, and you see that the power is dropping to 175. So you see how just like 5 degrees Celsius of temperature difference make a big impact on your CPU power. But again, we like to tune undervolting, but we don't just want to let the CPU run at 100 degrees just to get those results. So that's what's with 95 degree headroom.
Well, I gotta say, it's very impressive that you're able to be consistently hitting 187 watts of power right now with 95 degrees. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, so now you're lifting up the laptop, getting a little bit of additional airflow, which that's the way I do test my laptops, with a slight raise up on the back.
That's what everyone does at CES. They're all in air-conditioned conference rooms.
Well, of course, air conditioning standard, right?
We don't have that in Germany.
No air conditioning in Germany?
We don't.
Oh my goodness. Uncivilized. No, I'm just kidding. No, in Texas, where I'm from, you have to have AC or you're dying. Yeah. Okay, so right now we're able to hit 195 watts about, and the 190s, mid 190s consistently, while hitting 95 degrees on that CPU. And our wattage, what's this? Oh, that's the GPU power. Okay, so GPU power. Is there a way to see let's pull up the clocks again for our CPU clocks. So our CPU clocks, we're doing 4.6 to 4.7 on the P cores, 3.8 to 3.9 on the E cores. This is some of the highest performance, for consistent performance, I have seen out of any gaming laptop so far.
Right.
Pretty much. I mean, I had the MSI E78HX. I had that thing had the best Silicon Lottery of all the laptops I tested last year, and it was almost matching this when it had a maxed out undervolt. But that was last gen. And I'm very curious to see what this would do with a little bit more.
MS who?
Uh-huh.
Right.
Well, it broke 36,000.
Oh.
It was about in Cinebench R23 back then.
Right.
So it was, but I think yours is a few
the
hundred more.
980HX, right?
Right, yeah.
So, we already see reviews coming out of 14th gen, and the 13980HX still may maybe head-to-head with the 14th gen, because the 980HX had already this like top-binning.
Right, and I talked to one of the other brand product managers, and they said that they tested 10 of the i9-14900HXs, and they saw up to 3,000 to 4,000 score variants in Cinebench R23.
But is it the CPUs, or is it the thermal unit not being pressed down hard enough?
There's some more variance there.
That's a huge variance.
That is a huge variance. So I mean, I'm thinking like they're not giving you the option of paying for the Silicon Lottery this time. They're just giving you, here's all of the 14th gen CPUs, and you'll probably get a better than average versus the 13th gen, but probably matching maybe the 13980.
Well, and that's about all core load right now. When you look at single core load, the spec sheet tells you that the 14th gen will run 400 megahertz higher clock on peak cores compared to the 13900HX. This is actually not bad. 0.4 gigahertz gives you higher single core benchmark results, and probably also better gaming, like higher 1% low, because you don't have that, like some situations where the CPU may be the bottleneck. It's just helps you out having those higher clock speeds.
Okay, nice. Right. So let's move on. Let's swap back to the other one, because we have.
Yeah. So it's not.
So you're averaging
5 minutes.
Yeah, after 5 minutes, we're hitting 185 watts about on average in Cinebench R23. That's still fantastic. That beats the MSI the MSI Titan 18HX. Consistent wattage on that one was about 180 in the testing that I did yesterday. So that beats it by about 5 watts, and they were both thermal throttling right at 95 degrees.
Oh, okay.
So you guys got a leg up just barely over those. Velociraptor Blue says, do you hope to see 200 watt mobile GPUs when the 5000 series GPUs come out? Same with 18 VRAM for 580 and 4090 mobile. Well, Velociraptor Blue, I think it comes down to NVIDIA's design philosophy. They're going for thinner and lighter laptops, and when you have higher power limits, manufacturers will design their laptops to be thicker to accommodate those, and NVIDIA just doesn't really want that. So they're kind of limiting it to 175 watts for that reason, I think.
Switch the camera. I'm trying to start 3D Mark, but Windows 11 is giving me a hard time right now.
Well, should we switch to the other one? Because we already got Afterburner set up on the other one.
Right.
Yeah. So we're in the middle of swapping back to our original Neo 16, where we have Afterburner overlays enabled. And this one is the one without the keycap letters.
It's the undercover stealth edition.
Yeah, they will never know what you're typing, because you won't know either.
But let us know in the chat, because every time I show this to people, they say, oh, that looks really cool. But then I tell them, yeah, but have you ever tried to type in a password when you don't, like a random word where you don't have the muscle memory?
Yeah.
Or the F keys are not numbered. So what I'm thinking is like to do a minimalistic layout where most of it's blank, but some of the like corner areas, some of the peripherals have some minimalistic printing. So
I don't think that would work for you. No, I'm sorry, Tom.
I want to get your feedback, and I'll draft a rough design on our subreddit. So that's the XMG_GG subreddit. So to get some feedback on that.
So maybe if you had it so that like when you turn off the backlighting, it turns into a ghost mode. That might work.
No. That doesn't work. What? Let's use magic ink only. Lights up in black light. All right. Okay. Is there anything else we want to show on the screen while 3D Mark is starting? Because it's going to take a minute.
So we have these. Do we have any images here?
Have we talked about Honeywell PTM?
Yeah, if you want to talk about it for a moment, go right ahead.
Right. So as I said, the Neo series with the small GPUs with the 4060, 4070 is not going to have water cooling in this generation, and it is replacing liquid metal with the phase-changing thermal pads called PTM 7950. These are slightly less efficient than liquid metal, but they are more service-friendly. They don't have the risk of like spilling over your mainboard if you do DIY disassembly of the system, and they do score better than any other thermal paste on a like direct die cooling in laptops like this. So This will be available in XMG Neo series, but also XMG Fusion 15, which is on our roadmap.
And that's only for 4070 and below?
Exactly. It applies to the CPU and GPU. And if you show it on the screen, this is the spec sheet of the PTM 7950. That's the one that is in the DIY space. What we use is the 7958. Same specs, same thermal, same everything, just comes in a different package, is made for OEM builders.
Okay, so this will be used, instead of liquid metal, they're going to be using this Honeywell PTM 7950-8 for RTX 4070 and below units on these laptops. Okay, so we are about ready to run Time Spy.
Yeah. And for the sake of our nerves,
open afterburner too.
We are not going to use the fan boost, right? We will.
You can use fan boost.
Nah, come on. All right.
Yeah, max power. Max power. Best temps.
Okay,
Best scenario. Let's do it.
Okay, Brandon said so. Okay.
Hey, when you're trying to benchmark, you know, balls to the wall.
Just want to tell people that Oasis is not just about benchmarking. It's about having silent gaming, silent work, especially with Oasis Mark II, which has a more silent pump with lower RPM. But for the sake of this video, so MSI is running, Afterburner's running, everything's running. So I just go, right? Without demo.
Yeah, no demo. Yep.
And full screen, let's go.
Okay, so Time Spy is loading up. Let's just square up the laptop a little bit better. Make this full screen. There we go. And yeah.
So if anyone in chat can explain why collecting system info always takes that long.
Interesting. Do we have dedicated? I don't think the dedicated GPU is enabled. We went to integrated only mode earlier. I don't think we're gonna have a very good result.
Good call. So I go to hybrids. While this is rebooting, I want to switch back to the screen. I have one more thing to show.
Sure. What's the inside of the folder?
Yeah.
All right. And which one?
The undervolting screenshots.
I clicked it.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is a refresh from last year. So these are our BIOS undervolting settings. So you have PE core, cache, and SA. You just adjust the voltage. It's always at minus, so you don't do overvolting with our BIOS. So it's not like a fully unlocked BIOS like some other vendors. It's a narrowly, feature-oriented BIOS. If you go too high with your undervolting or too low, we have a reset hotkey. So if your system does not boot, if your CPU doesn't boot, Control B will reset your tuning, and you can live another day.
When do you press Control B?
You press that. You hold the keys during a cold boot until the screen will turn on again. Then you can let go.
So you hold Control B, then you hit the power button.
Yeah.
And then you wait for keep holding it until it restarts again.
Until you see the screen, then you can.
It's like a CMOS reset, basically, to reset your BIOS settings, correct?
It's CMOS, but it's a little bit further. Like just taking the CMOS battery out does not reset those tunings.
Did you already click this?
No.
Oh, yeah, Afterburner. If you can keep the laptop in the same spot when you do it, so that way we won't have to redo the camera stuff, that'd be great.
Good.
All right. So we are getting Time Spy loaded up again.
Nice and square.
I'm really glad we managed to bust the 36,000.
36.5.
36.5 is pretty insane. Yeah, that's pretty big, especially like for how small this laptop is. Like this laptop, it reminds me in the size department of my old Legion 7i before the 2021 edition when it was thinner, smaller. The new Pro 7i for 2023 and 2024, much bigger and beefier.
Still showing the Honeywell datasheet right now?
No, that's the live stream. It's a little delayed.
Good.
So Afterburner is open, right?
Yep.
And we're good to go. So this is with a stock GPU.
Yeah.
Though, do you guys apply like any kind of like default factory kind of overclock using whenever you have the water cooler hooked up to it?
Let me see if I can still catch that. There's no overclocking applied right now.
Right. So it's.
So let me just done with 0 and there we go.
Okay.
So the control center is still being patched a little bit. So in the previous year, the overboost mode had a factory GPU OC if you connect Oasis by default. Right now it's a little bit more manual. So we'll see.
So I'm seeing 2200 up here, 172 watts, 173 watts. The temps are insanely low, below 50 on the GPU right now. Let me move our camera out of the way of these numbers. CPU pulling 87 watts, which is obviously a bit of overkill, but it provides all of the throughput. So there's really high 1% lows, I'm sure. 52 degrees on the GPU. Let's see how hot this GPU gets by the end. That said, right here for this 4090 boost, you guys were doing last year, I think in this area, about 2300 to 2400 in time spy. So,
exactly. Yeah, the GPU offset is not applied yet.
Right. So I'm anticipating that you guys would probably have a higher time spy score once all of these, the final settings are added.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're going to try to match the performance from 2023 with the new 2024, or are you going to have?
Yeah, we will. I mean, I think we will. Right now, it's still, you have to apply those sliders manually. And the sliders are always in a safe range, so you can go higher than what we did out of factory last year. So.
Right. Well, I mean, there was kind of like a behind-the-scenes overclock going on last year when you didn't even apply any additional clock or memory overclocking, right? So, like right now, with these kinds of boost clocks, it seems like it's a little bit higher than what a stock 0 overclock would be. Looks like we had a little bit of a snip there, so it might impact the score just a tiny bit. So temps 65 degrees, 54 degrees on the GPU.
So the temps are definitely lower than in the previous Neo 16, and this is due to the new thermal unit, which does just give the water just more contact area because
remember the water goes in around this metal plate, comes back out.
Right. So it just has more surface area and takes the heat out better. Let's see, can you feel it? This is intake, outtakes over there.
Yeah, I can feel a little bit of hot air coming out of the water cooler right now.
The air coming out of the water cooler will increase over a period of an hour because the water is still pretty cold. So it's like
it's like additional thermal headroom before you reach thermal saturation.
Right. Yeah. Like on air cooling, thermal saturation is usually reached after 5 to 10 minutes, but with water cooling, it may take an hour to really see the very final result.
Interesting. Okay, so I mean, I'm anticipating 21,000, maybe 22, because there's no additional overclocks. It's like, it's all very stock. Because the 2023 version of the Neo 17 was getting 23.2? Whoo! That's more than I thought we were going to get for our GPU score. So that's without any additional overclocking applied. What?
With an extreme amount of CPU power applied.
That is with an extreme, like 19,200 for our CPU score is extremely high. Probably the average for the i9 is around probably 16 to 17,000. I think this is even a little higher than the numbers you provided on the Reddit thread for your CPU score. So that's very good.
We're always very conservative.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, That's surprising to me. It makes me wonder if everything is reading correctly in Afterburner, because that is a really, really good score considering the boost clocks and the clock speeds we saw. Certainly possible to push past 24,000 with this system with an overclock applied.
Right. So let's take a screenshot of this.
Let me check how much time we have left. Okay, so that's actually it for our time.
That's it.
Yeah, so I'm glad we got to try that, and that's such a good score for a single run.
Right.
I wish we had more time, because I would love to test this all night. Let's just keep going and see what we can get. See if we can push 24.5 maybe in our GPU score. But I mean, I'm really glad we got to test this. I'm really glad I got hands-on with this. This feels like I'm impressed with the Neo 16. The new design feels more modern. It feels more streamlined. It feels a bit tankier. And in particular, like the old Neo 16 and 17 had the additional, I guess, air gaps inside the chassis that I'm like, if this was just redesigned, it could be a little smaller. And you guys took those out this year. I really, really like that.
Speaking of air gaps, I forgot to mention the keyboard is ventilated now. The new keyboard in Neo 16 has air intake in the WASD and numpad area, which also helps the overall thermal budget. So
nice. Are the speakers upgraded at all?
the speaker tuning is a little bit upgraded, and also the positioning is different. If you remember from the other picture, the speakers are now firing towards the front.
Yeah, let me pull up the speaker pictures. So here's the speaker pictures. Yeah, firing towards the front instead of out the sides.
Right.
Is there any speakers upward firing at any all? Just these two downward firing speakers?
Yep,
okay.
down.
Yeah, and like in the previous Neo, what is this right here?
This is just like covers protects the battery screws and the light bar. So you have to take this thing out to remove the battery button.
There's a light bar?
There's a light bar at the bottom which we didn't even turn on yet because
Oh, so there's going to be a light bar in the front, everyone.
Yeah.
So can we see that?
All right, just turn it on. Just a minute.
Okay, so I actually didn't know there was a light bar in front. Okay, so there's a light bar in front. Okay, so there's a bunch of mini LEDs, and you can make this kind of a rainbow or different colors.
There are just a handful of effects right now, like your. Let's see. Yeah, just. I think I want to get this Night Rider scanner set up, so having this go left and right would be cool.
Nice.
It does reflect nicely against the table. It's hard to see with this glass table, but it does give you a diffused underglow.
That does look good.
Like if we put this here and put this on top, does that help?
Yeah, it depends on what your laptop's on.
Right.
Well, that's cool. It's too bad it doesn't wrap around. That would make it even cooler.
Right.
But it does look like a higher quality light bar than what a lot of the other manufacturers are
Because
using.
the speakers are over there, so that's where the light bar ends.
Okay, gotcha. That makes sense. Okay, so that's it for the XMG Neo 16 and 17 overview testing demo. Big success, in my opinion. We got 36.5 in Cinebench R23, which is a new record for my testing. And then for a stock 4090, that was a fantastic time spy run. And then, yeah, it was great getting hands-on with the new design for the Neo 16. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah. Anything you want to say? Final closing thoughts?
Well, we'll catch you later, and I'll read the chat later when this is out. It's out now, okay? And reply to comments. So if you have questions, just leave them under the video itself, and I will get into those comments and reply anything you want.
Okay, yeah, so if you have any comments, questions, Tom's very good about responding to them in the video description or just below us. Just leave those comments down below. Tom will check them out within the next day or two. So thanks so much. We'll see you guys in the next live stream. SCAR 18 live stream next week. And then I know the Zephyrus G14, G16 also coming in before the end of January. MSI Crosshair 16 as well. And the XMG Neo 16 live stream will be, just kidding. It's going to be like in March or April if they send me one. So, and I think they probably will.
It's guaranteed.
It's guaranteed. Yes. I pressured him on live stream to send me one, guys. All right. Woo. All right. No, I really appreciate taking the time to show me all this stuff. You know, I can't take all this stuff for granted, and it really does help me as content creator for you guys to be so generous with your time and all of that. So thank you so much to you as well. Okay, thank you Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Brandon and Tom out. Take a